Second topic is language attitude and motivation. We all know that attitudes develop early in childhood and are the result of the experiences the child has with the parents and peers or other people around him, and develop certain attitude when he or she comes in contact with other people, and from their attitude the children develop attitudes. These attitudes form a part of one's perceptions of self, of others, and of the culture in which one is living. So these attitudes actually constitute a part of one's understanding and perception of oneself and people around him, and as well as the culture in which a child is brought up. Gardner and Lambert's extensive studies on the interrelationship of number of different types of attitudes consider motivation as the basic construct of or made up of all these attitudes. So motivation has the basis, and the basis are these attitudes, and that's what Gardner has come to the finding based on the studies that he has conducted as far as the interrelationship of attitudes are concerned. John Aller believes that positive attitudes towards self, the native language group, and the target language group enhanced proficiency. So we see that the positive attitude, and this will also take us to the understanding of negative attitude as well, that how these two types can enhance or decrease the motivation level and can hinder the enhance or hinder the proficiency of any language learning development process. So attitude to language, we see that attitudes cannot be observed directly but are demonstrated through actual behavior. So it's through behavior that we demonstrate attitudes. They cannot be directly observed. For example, how people treat speakers of other language, avoidance approach, or in their desire or not to learn another language. So this can only be evident in their behavior. It is not something which is tangible and can be observed directly. Effects of positive and negative attitude on language proficiency are very clear. Positive attitude towards self, the native language, and the target group enhanced. So positivity will enhance motivation, and then motivation will result into the enhancement of proficiency. Negative attitude may lead to decreased in motivation as well as input and interaction, which can lead to unsuccessful attainment of proficiency. So a number of the positive attitudes, you can see pride, confidence, acceptance, celebration, approval, respect, worth, trustworthiness, and the negative attitudes contain contempt, shame, ridiculing, disgust, rejection, disdain, scorn, skepticism. So these positive as well as negative attitudes definitely influence our attainment of language proficiency. So from attitude we will now discuss motivation, as they both traits are very closely related to each other. What we mean by motivation, according to Gardner, is a combination of effort plus desire to achieve the goal of learning the language plus favorable attitudes towards learning the language. So it's not only the desire but as well as your effort. So motivation takes into account both these elements, your desire as well as your efforts, and then mingle with the attitudes. I mean, attitudes are developed based on your desire and your efforts as far as the language learning process is concerned. Slavin believes that motivation is concerned with the factors that direct and energize the behavior. So motivation is a force behind, or the directing force behind, the achievement of certain goals. And it energizes the behavior, it motivates you, it pushes you towards the achievement of your goal. William and Burden says a state of cognitive and emotional arousal which lead to a conscious decision to act and which give rise to a period of sustained, which is permanent or durable, and or physical effort in order to attain a previously set goal. So again, this definition comprehensively explains motivation in terms of cognition and your emotional triggering, as well as leading them, this both your mental ability as well as your emotional ability both these abilities leading you towards, pushing you towards the achievement of making conscious efforts for the achievement of the previously set goals. And this process is not short-lived or very weak. It is durable, it's long-lasting process which motivation consists of, or which is based on one's motivation. This takes us to the understanding of intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is associated with activities that are their own reward. This is internal motivation from within, doing something for internal reward, experience, interest, value or action. It's self-determination. Causes a deep curiosity and fascination with tasks, can result in high creativity, can bring happiness and prosperity to life. So basically, all these factors are internal factors. And the examples can be hobby one likes, going to favorite class, volunteering on own time. So this is one's personal domain. This is something which is personal, which is internal. Now, when we are talking about extrinsic motivation, we see this is the motivation outside one's personal domain, created by external factors such as reward and punishment, motivated by outside source, does not result in long-term change. It is considered not sustainable because it's the external factors which are more influential as far as this type of motivation is concerned. Diminishing result can hurt intrinsic motivation, which is permanent, tends to make a person feel as if task is necessary. So this is basically overlooks happiness, compliance, produces results. So it is impersonal and it is an imposed type of motivation where one feels pressured or forced to perform certain acts. Examples can be studying for test in order to pass, candy as prize, that's the motivation. If you pass, you get something as prize. Now both, when we have this overlapping, we see that the intrinsic creates and both the extrinsic, they both create desired outcome in the end, may not be desired outcome on performance or ability. However, intrinsic leads to long-term outcomes, better performance and display child's ability, while extrinsic leads to short-term results and may not display true performance. So both are forms of motivation and they both have their own specific traits, but intrinsic motivation is considered to be more long-lasting. So according to Dicey, intrinsically motivated behavior are aimed bringing about certain internally rewarding consequences, whereas according to Brown, extrinsic motivation is fueled by the anticipation of reward from outside. So this is the major difference, that your reward coming from within is intrinsic based and coming from outside is the extrinsic motivation based. To conclude, people have feelings, attitudes, beliefs about language in general, their language and language of other people. These attitudes can be positive as well as negative based on personal experiences, and motivation consists of internal process and external incentives which lead us to positive outcome of our needs and behaviors.